along many areas of Lagos. And you come to Abuja, you see the same thing. What happened today is that people move from the city of Abuja, the city center, because they cannot afford the houses in the city, and they have to move to places like Suleja. They have to move to places like Bagbalada, and they have to move to places like Masaka. Similarly, the same thing is happening in Lagos. We cannot even drop the boundary again between Lagos and Ogun. I can tell you, majority of the people working in the city center in Lagos every morning comes from Ogun State. That is the level, the status of the housing situation in Nigeria. And in fact, as we expect a new government to be coming in May 2029, the issue we have been asking the new government to address is the issue of affordable housing. Nigerians deserve a home. When you sleep very well and you get to the office, you will do your work well. When you sleep very well, the propensity to be falling sick will be reduced. But when you sleep under the bridge, and the way you'll be talking will show that you slept under the bridge. And that is to tell you the importance of housing.
Okay, so what are some of the challenges that are faced by people who are moving from these urban areas to the rural areas?
The challenges are very clear. In the morning, they leave the city center, they go to the evening, they come in the morning from their home to the city, to the urban city center. And when they close by 5, some of them spend 2 hours, 3 hours on the road to get back to where they will sleep. I remember the other day, it was one party, Wasimolowo, a man of God in London, that was checking that they need to look into the issue of mental situation of some people in Lagos. Because some people leave the house by 4 o'clock and they come back to their home back by 12 in the night. And he was asking, how many hours are these people using to sleep? So the situation is bad. And one of the best, there are ways this problem can be solved. Some of the companies that are located, for instance, the NNPC in Abuja City Center, we could have a branch in the outlets, in that area, rural area you are talking about. So people does not need to move to town every morning. Moving to town every morning, one of the major problems they face is the traffic situation. It's the traffic problem. The vehicles walk and collapse. That is the situation. That's why we're having all this problem in Lagos. We're also having it in some areas in Abuja. So, and then beyond that, the government really want to take care of the interests of these workers. It is not wrong that for anybody to live in the rural area, if that is what they can afford. But it is wrong for them not to enjoy the necessary facility. Some of those areas you are talking about that you are calling rural don't even have water. Some don't have lights. Some are bad roads. So as Nigerians, I think we deserve the best. And that is what we are clamoring for. Sanwo-Olu is coming for the second time, according to what you voted in Lagos. I don't know if that is right. But the issue is this.
That is accurate.
Housing has a priority. Housing, developing the rural areas, so that those who are living the city will not be living like a second-hand or second-class citizen. We all deserve the best in this country. Those living in the rural area, some of them, it is not their will, but that is what they can afford. That is where they can buy land. That is
affordability.
So that is what I want us to know in this conversation this morning.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Festus, for breaking that down. I want to say this. For a lot of people, they lived in areas that they could afford perhaps years ago. And a few years later, it's become almost impossible for them to afford or to continue to pay rent in these homes. So I'm curious about it. Why is there such a massive increase in the cost of these rented properties across the country?
It is as a result of development. That is all you need. That's one of the things you must know about real estate. You don't buy real estate, or you don't wait for real estate before you buy it. You buy real estate and wait. So when you are living in a particular place, you should also make provision for development. There are some places in Lagos there. If you have been there like 10 years ago, I visited some areas in Lekki. If you have been there 10 years ago, you will not even believe that anybody can live there. But today, when you go there, you see the houses of 200 million, 250 million. So the fact remains, those who are affording those house rent in that area at that time are not witnessing economic growth. They are not having increase in their business. They don't have the money to sustain. So since the growth is not incommensurate to what they are earning, they have to look for where they can survive. And that is exactly what is happening. Some can still continue to remain there if they have increase in the resources. But some cannot afford. Some are having children. Maybe when they started living in that place, they just got married as a young couple. And after 2 years, maybe one of them lost his job. There's no way they can sustain because the growth has met them in one place where they have not been able to grow. So that is why that is happening. And I want to let you know, even the places we are calling the rural areas today, if you are living there and you are listening to me, you just have to do your best to get a property of your own there. Because if the property belongs to you, the development will meet you there. But if you are renting, the development can meet you. And at the end of the day, you may not have the affordability to sustain the rent. And that is the situation.
All right. So I like that you spoke about people in the rural areas as well. What challenges do people in rural areas also face when it comes to housing?
The other time, I remember Nigerian Minister for Housing, Babatunde Fasola, said that the housing deficit Nigerians are talking about is not as pronounced as some of us have been saying, because when you get to some rural areas, when I say rural area, I'm not talking of the outskirts of Lagos, the outskirts of Abuja, the outskirts of Port Harcourt. I am talking of somebody who comes from Ijebu-Ode, or somebody who comes from Shagamu, or somebody who comes from Ikare in Ondo State, or somebody who comes from Ikole in Ekiti. What he said is that in those rural areas we are talking about, some people have properties there and they don't go there until the end of the year. So on that note, the rural area in that area is not affected. But when we talk of the rural in the city, that is the outskirts of the city, all that they need in their home is that if the government really committed, some of the companies that are inside the city should not be concentrated inside the city. Some of those companies are supposed to have their branches in the outskirts. That reduces the stress of coming to town every day. That is the way forward. If all of us are coming to Alausa every morning from Lekki, from Ijoko, from everywhere, there will be problem. But it is not wrong to have a ministry domiciled in that area as a branch. So you only come to town or to the Alausa only when there's need for it. That is the way forward. Let's establish our rural area. Let's grow our outskirts. And even the one that we are calling rural, when you develop the rural in Ikole, in Ikare, in Shagamu, people will not have any reason to come to the city. People come to the city for opportunity. People come to the city for business. If you bring the opportunity down to their level, they will have no reason to be moving every morning and to be moving every evening, especially people in Lagos. There is a particular place, and if you go there around 12:01, you have your peace. But if you try it around 5, you regret.
All right, let's take a quick break, Mr. Festus, and we'll continue the conversation on the other side. Remember, the WhatsApp number is 0809 440 981. This is Lagos Talks. Please stay with us. Okay, hi, Mr. Festus. We're taking a 2-minute break and then we'll be back.
That's okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Building castles in the sky. Let's get some water. A dazzling place I never, but now from way up here it's crystal clear. And now my name. At the same time, every year I looked, I just saw possibility. I just like, wow, this is that place. You're listening to Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1. We're talking about the wave of urban-rural migration that has been exacerbated by the lack of affordable housing for most Nigerians. Now, most Nigerians find that in order to find a home adequate for their needs, they have to move from the cities and move on to the outskirts of the cities. All right, we have a guest on the program this morning, Mr. Festus Adebayo. Festus Adebayo is the Executive Director, Housing Development Advocacy Network, and they are the promoters of affordable housing here in Nigeria. Mr. Festus.
Yes.
Okay. What are some of the possible consequences of this wave of urban to rural migration, particularly if it's been driven by a lack of affordable housing in the urban areas?
Just as I have explained here earlier, when we have affordable housing all over the world, the country, the government always devote a percentage of resources to provide social housing, affordable housing. In UK, we have council housing. If the government fail to provide for its citizens, the consequence will be damning. The consequence will be people resorting to banditry. The consequence is sickness. Huge amount of money will be spending on health. And that is the fact that we are saying, do more for housing, do more for affordable housing. Help your youth. Now you can see what is going on in Nigeria today. The youth are tense, the youth are angry. We have just advised the incoming president yesterday One of the ways you can attract youth is to give them hope for home ownership in their fatherland. When they have a house, there is hope. Where there is no house, and you have to struggle every morning to back to where you will sleep, be on the road for 4 or 5 hours, the consequence is frustration. People lose hope in their country. And we don't need to lose hope in our country. And because that is the reasons why there's government. Government is to take care of its people. Government is to protect lives. In fact, let me explain to you. Majority of the people that are taken into banditry, kidnapping, is a product of frustration. People, nobody will have a small house after graduating. Then you have one small house. The next thing is you look for a job. You have a job, and then you have a small house. The next thing you'll be looking for a wife. When you have a wife, I can assure you, you don't want to go and do banditry. You don't want to go and kill yourself. But when you lose hope, things are not working, and someone just come to you and say there's a business, you want to go. After all, you want to enjoy yourself. Someone that is living under the bridge of Oshodi, you are looking for hooligans who will go and fight people during the election. How do you think they will not make themselves available? What life are they enjoying? And that is why we need a good government that we put housing Nigerians, housing workers as a priority. We have cases of people who have worked for 25 years as a civil servant, and still they don't have a hope of owning a house because the houses are not within their capacity, affordability anymore. You go and look for a 1-bedroom today. I am not sure if you want to buy a 1-bedroom, you will not have as much as 7 million. And the mortgage system is not working. We are in these people, category of people who are suffering can be assisted. All over the world, houses are not bought on the basis of cash and carry. Houses are purchased on mortgage system. The law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria said that if you are an employer of labor and you have as much as 50 staff, you are a radio station, you are a TV station, then you must have a provision for them, accommodation-wise. But where they have to go from the city to the rural area after work, and they have to come from the rural area in the morning to the urban, we can be rest assured that the level of productivity will not be as it should be. And these are the consequences of what we are talking about.
Okay. Let's go on to WhatsApp. Let's take a message. This one is from Dakwa. He says, "Hello, sir, my good brother Festus." Dakwa, your old friend, greeting you from Apapa. "Migration from urban to rural areas have more advantages than disadvantages. We all know how Festac housing emanated. Apart from being cost-effective in rental prices, the major K leg is transportation and commuting to the workplace. Food is cheaper in rural areas, with the opportunity to eat fresh food and products with cleaner air, devoid of industrial pollution and toxic carbon dioxide. Affordable housing and safe dwellings important and should be made an available priority to all and sundry, while banks also ought to reduce the premium and interest rates that they charge on mortgages." All right. Mr. Festus, are you there?
Thank you, Doctor, for your point there. I could remember that Festac is a product of federal government intervention, and they're built by Federal Housing Authority. And the main objective then was to take care of the interests of the workers. We are calling for more of it. I can get your feeling that when you are in just a rural area, no congestion, the weather there is okay, the hair there, nobody is competing with you. Yes, there's a lot of advantages. But we are saying that apart from that, just as you mentioned transportation problem, we are saying there is also need to have concentration of some of the establishments that are put in the urban area in those areas, so that the problem of transportation will be reduced. So thank you, Dako.
All right. So are there any negative effects of this urban rural migration on the rural communities? Because some people say that when you have a large number of people who are moving from cities to these outskirt communities or rural communities, it starts to drive up prices in those areas. So prices in terms of rent, in goods and services, everything seems to be higher as people from the city perhaps are used to paying higher rates. And when they come over to these areas, it drives up the price. What's your perspective on that?
It's all a matter of development, just as what we said earlier on this program, that when you are living in a particular place and that area is growing and your own business or your whole earning, your income is not growing, the possibility that that area will outgrow you is very high. When it outgrow you, then you have no reason or no other option than to go to the rural area. The effect on the rural area is much. The rural area will also grow. So if you are not careful to do something, either you only your whole area, first set of people that are in that area, then the possibility that that area will also outgrow you is very, very high. But let me make it known to you. Once we are having people migrating like that, that area will develop. And therefore, you begin to see some of the criminalities that you see in the city migrating to that rural area. Because there will be much people, and they will be meeting with those people who are there before. And somebody once said that location matters. Your location matters. You're carrying your children who are used to urban area to the rural area. The possibility of that having an effect on your children is also high. And that is why we are saying, despite all these consequences, because when you move from urban, you go to rural, the business there will also grow. The economy there will grow. The development of that area is people coming there. And when people come there, the area will develop. We are saying, if you are not careful again, that area may outgrow you. But they are both whole. Government must intervene. Government must intervene. Government must intervene, repeat what they did in Festus. They must repeat what Latif Jakande did. As of today, Jakande, Maroko, Jakande, Isolo, Jakande, Ipaja have been a great succor to a lot of people. Some people will not be a house owner in their lifetime. And those houses are built in various areas of the city to help the people. Government must rise up to perform its responsibilities. The report before me says some of the houses being built in Lagos today are not for civil servants. If they are for civil servants, they will not be above 10 million. I'm not sure a permanent secretary who is not manipulating in Alausa can afford 10 million naira house. So what we are calling for is a kind of housing that people that need those houses can afford. The houses we are building in Lagos today by the government are not being built by those who really need the houses. The people who are taking over these houses are those ones that have already gotten one. Some have gotten two. In fact, oftentimes, most of the state government people who are handling the houses are the same people allocating it to their concubine, to their friends, to their sisters, and those people that really need the houses, people that really need the house. Mama Agbenga, that is living in a rented apartment in Isolo with her and her husband and 6 children in a 2-bedroom that really need the houses cannot get the house. So these are the situations, just like that mentioned. You talk about mortgage. The interest rate is very high. Do we really have a mortgage system in Nigeria? Can you walk into any mortgage around you there and say your name is this, you want to open an account here? They don't exist. They don't have the liquidity. So it is a new dawn. Everyone must speak house. Nigerians deserve to be housed. When you go to Lagos and see the struggling, the hustling, from Makoko down to the city, back to Lekki, after Lekki, you will know that as a mega city, that state needs serious intervention in the area of transportation and housing. When I say housing, I mean housing for the poor, for the people down below the ladder, not those one at the top.
All right, let's take a quick break and we'll continue the conversation on the other side. This is a Lagos Talks and Smooth 98.1. We're talking about affordable housing and how there is a housing crisis that has increased the wave of urban to rural migration. Stay with us. Okay, sir, we'll be back on. We're taking a quick break so that maybe you can catch your breath a bit, and we'll be on in about 4 minutes. And then we can wrap up the conversation.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. I wish I could just let you turn around. Somebody who needs a job. I need somebody. I need a job. Okay, we're back on in 20 seconds. Smooth 98.1. This is Lagos Talks. That was Chico with I Need Some Money. And that song mirrors the expectations, the needs, and the desires of most Nigerians. They need some money, they need some job, and they need affordable housing as well. We're talking about affordable housing and how it's the crisis from a lack of affordable housing is driving a large wave of urban to rural migration. Let us know what your thoughts are. The WhatsApp number is 0809 444 0981. You can also tweet at smooth981. And we're streaming the show live as well on YouTube. You can catch the live stream and also post a comment underneath the live stream. Just search for smooth981 and you can have access to that stream and post a comment as well. Our guest is Mr. Festus Adebayo. He's the Executive Director, the Housing Development Advocacy Network. It's a promoter of affordable housing here in Nigeria. Mr. Adebayo?
Yes.
So, when people move to a location, they expect to find a warm and a welcoming community or build a community as well where people look out for each other. So, how can communities and even individuals work together to support people who are making this move in terms of the housing, in terms of accommodation, even access to healthcare as well?
Yes, in recent time, we have found that resident associations has been contributing a lot to the development of areas. In Lekki houses in Lagos, you see that most of these housing estates have their resident association. And even after the lake area, those areas that are outskirts, the rural areas, also have their resident association. So the role of resident association in the recent time cannot be overemphasized in the area of developing their areas, developing their location, developing the economy of where they belong. And it makes it easy for them to talk to the government, not only to talk to the government, but to also attract opportunities, attract investment. And in fact, resident association have been playing a very serious role in combating crimes with the support of the chiefs, the head of the area, the sifter, the head of the king or the balance. These are the ways to make the where you find yourself, whenever you find yourself in a rural area due to lack of capacity to be in the city, these are the area these are how you can make the rural area comfortable for yourself to stay. And I think with this, things are going to be better. But we must not relent in calling for the government presence in those rural areas. Government presence in the rural areas should not be only when the election is coming. or when they need their votes, or when they want them to vote for them. No. So the resident association is one of the best way to make rural area a little bit better. They contribute to the development. Some area they don't call it residents association. Some area they call it development association. And because of that, they use it to do a lot of things to make themselves, to make the area comfortable, combat crime, do little roads, solve problem of electricity, and then collaborate with the government, draw the attention of the government to their problems. And that is the way to go if you are living in the outskirts of the city. And by the way, another advantage in the outskirts is what the person that sent a message, you have your peace of mind. You have a peace of mind. You say you relax yourself. Some of the stress in the city, hustling and bustling, you don't see that. So these are what we should know. But above all, our advocacy group is very, very committed that as we start a new dawn in Nigeria from May 29, the government must do much in the area of affordable housing. Let me explain to you. If you are doing a housing project, the effect is multiplier effect. It's so many. The engineers will be there, not those engineers, the ones that call themselves engineers who didn't go to school. I mean, professional engineer. You see architects, you see builder, you see quantity surveyor. All of them, we have the opportunity to hear something. And apart from those people that went to school, we also have the artisans who are working in the site. The bricklayer, the carpenter, we call them names. They all hear from the site. Go to all those estates along, like you understand what I'm saying? I've been to a particular estate when the estate was to commence. I saw the young boys when they were entering, they enter with Okada. And at the point of the completion of those projects, I found that each of them have changed from Okada to car. So, and these are the effects of housing. And then when those people collect money from the site, they take it to the markets. Even the woman, the Okada man that is taking people from one place to the other to the gate of the site, he's making money. So that is why housing is key. You can use housing to drive the economy of a country. You can use it to drive the economy of a state. And that is why we are trying to do reorientation. Some of the money they are wasting, some of the money they are stealing is enough to provide affordable housing for Nigerians. Recently, we honor a governor in Yobe State. I just remember that now. The governor built how many units? About 500 units of housing and gave it to workers who have spent 20 years and above. And then they got it. They were supposed to pay 7 million each for the cost of those houses in Yobe. And the governor came with a memo, circular, that as part of the effort of the government to assist people in the area of housing, we are hereby providing a subsidy of 50% on those houses. Meaning, where they are supposed to pay 7 million, the people are to pay 3.5 million. And they are to pay for 10 years. What it connotes is that if you have 3 years more to spend in the service, you can still go ahead. What it means is that when you are going, after you are paid for 3 years, the remaining will be deducted from your pension. So this is what can be done. Suffering is not good. Give them a house. You will see that their thinking will change. Give them a place to stay. In our office, we have place, we have staff that we give to our staff. When we employ staff from other states, we give them accommodation. That gives us the room to call them at 2 a.m. That gives us the room to give them a job at 1:30 in the night. So housing is good for productivity. You will not be spending money on your staff in the hospital. If they have a good place, if they don't need to travel from rural every morning be inside the odor for 3 hours. And then in the evening, be inside the odor for 4 hours. And if they are lucky, one trailer fall on the road, then they will be there for 6 hours. No. Nigeria will call for affordable housing. There's no reason for you to work for 25 years, 30 years, and then you cannot own the house of your home. And you are doing a big boy in the city of Lagos. You are riding a beautiful car. Are you going to sleep inside your car? What makes a man is when he has a roof on his head. That is very key. And that's what we are saying. The government must give hope to our youth. Not too young to own a house. It's key.
Not too young to own a house. I like that.
Let's catch them young and teach them how to own a house from the age of 26. And then let them own a house before 40. Not them buy all those beautiful cars. And then at the end of the day, I think in Yoruba property, the car is not a wet. It's not a wet. It's not a wet. It has a depreciation value.
Right. Okay, Mr. Adebayo, we're almost out of time. What role do housing advocates and civil society organizations, I mean, you are the executive director of the Housing Development Advocacy Network. What role do these organizations play when it comes to addressing the housing crisis and even going further to promote equitable access to housing? And you can tell us a little bit about what you do as well. Mr. Adebayo?
Okay, I couldn't hear that question very well. You said?
Okay, yes. So what role do housing advocates and organizations like yours play in addressing the housing crisis?
Yes. Since our organization was established, I can report to you here, we have been organizing workshops, seminars. We have been organizing meetings. We have been engaging with manufacturers of building materials. You can imagine the cost of cement in Nigeria today. Cement is a no-go area because the 3 manufacturers are part of the government. And that monopoly is not being allowed to be broken. And on that note, we have been engaging the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Yemi Osinbajo, and at 1 or 2 times he has invited the Dangote group and the other group to see how they can support in the area of subsidy, in the area of rebates on the prices of cement. We also have challenge in the area of iron rods. We engage those manufacturers. That is part of how we'll be doing the advocacy. Beyond that, we engage the state government. We'll be engaging your governor in Lagos. And we are happy we have a special advisor on real estate, Etuke Benson. We have your commissioner for housing, Mr. Rafiu. They all relate with us. We all interact and we all tell them this is what we want, not restricted only to Lagos. I mean, all the state or the federation. We have established a different platform on television, on AIT, on TVC, with the view, objective of reorientating public attitude to housing, reorientating the government itself. You can use housing to combat crime. If you give them a house, they have a job, they will marry, they will not go to crime. They will not want to kill themselves. These are the ways we have been going. And we are the owner of Africa International Housing Show. That is the biggest in Africa. That one is not only for Nigeria, it's for the whole world. Come from different parts of the world. We are preparing for July, and we will bring minister of housing from other countries to come and share the secret of their success story. It was yesterday somebody telling me that in Egypt, in Africa country, over 1 million mortgage was created last year. How many did we create in our home? So this is what the advocacy group has been doing. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I have to say it's been a very enlightening session, Mr. Adebayo, and thank you so much for being on the show this morning and sharing your experience and, of course, your thoughts on this issue of affordable housing, the housing crisis, and urban-rural migration. Mr. Festus Adebayo, Executive Director, Housing Development Advocacy Network, promoters of affordable housing here in Nigeria and across the continent as well. So thank you so much, sir, for coming, and have a brilliant day ahead.
Thank you. That's a bye. Bye, Nigeria.
Thank you. And it's time to draw the curtains on Lagos Talks and the Smooth Breakfast. Thanks for being here with me